really looking forward to this because it's between the number 4 seed Oklahoma City Thunder, which had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs this year. A lot of people had them just falling off the face of the earth against the Houston Rockets that just traded Chris Paul to the Thunder for Russell Westbrook. So this matchup has like the storytelling of you traded me away, let me show you what I can do. I'm gonna make you work. I'm gonna take you out of the playoffs and show you that I ain't washed. I am Chris Paul. Point God is what he's called. Because a lot of people, he's a special, special player. It's crazy. And Chris Paul, his career is just he deserved so much more than what he got. He made it to the conference finals for the first time last year, and then they just let him go because they felt that Russell Westbrook could take them to the next step. But I digress. So talking about this Oklahoma City Thunder team, Chris Paul playing like a rejuvenated star. Steven Adams, who is just a monster in the paint. He's just very ferocious, a brick wall. Uh, uh, Shy Gilius Alexander. I don't know if I did that right. If I didn't, I apologize. Emerging as a young star in this league. The Clippers sent him to the Thunder, and for Paul George especially. So it's just, he is special. A lot of people were focusing on like a lot of the other young stars like Donovan Mitchell, Kyle Kuzma, Jason Tatum, but this kid is special, man. A lot of people underestimated him. They also have Danilo Gallinari, he's been a really good, consistent player. He's been below superstar level, but he's still a big guy. He can shoot the three, and he complements this team perfect. The Clippers sent him away for Paul George and with the rookie, and it's just paid off, man. They made it into the 4th seed. They also have Dennis Schroeder as the 6th man, who's just rejuvenated after the Hawks basically gave up on him and opted to get Trae Young in the draft. He's just playing like a man possessed that wants to contribute to this team. So this Oklahoma City Thunder team, they can compete, especially against the small Houston Rockets team that got rid of Clint Capella to the Hawks, who have PJ Tucker as their starting center. PJ Tucker. They do have Harden. Westbrook has a quad injury, so he's definitely going to miss game 1. It hasn't been determined if he's going to miss game 2. They have James Harden. They have Robert Covington, Austin Rivers. Their team is they have a good team, JJ. I mean, some names are just like escaping me, but you know the Rockets. They have a lot of good guys that can shoot the three. I don't quote me on this, but I think they actually shot them. They didn't make the most threes, but they attempted the most threes this season. They attempted a lot of threes because Antoni's offense over defensive, tongue-tied, offensive over defensive offense. That he just rather go with the offense, but James Harden has been playing stellar defense, and he wants that another MVP, like I said about Giannis, LeBron. He's in the conversation as well. This match just has the making of an interesting story, and I predicted going at least 7 games if Westbrook can somehow make it back. But I'm predicting, this is my official prediction, I predict the Thunder winning 4-1 without Westbrook. 4-1, JJ.
4-1 without Westbrook. That is a very important part of it. That is a very important part of it. Okay, so when I look at this, first off, get your popcorn out. You know, tomorrow, I don't know the official time. I can fact check it later, but I'm pretty sure it's at like 6:30 Eastern, around the same time. But definitely get your popcorn out. It's going to be incredible. You know, this is what people have wanted to see. I mean, the Houston Rockets, like you said, pretty much traded Chris Paul because he shot mid-range jump shots, and in the D'Antoni system, that's a no-no. He does not like mid-range jump shots. It's threes, layups, and that's it. That's what you get away with. You get threes and layups. If you can't play that way, then you're not probably going to do well in his offense. But I digress. That's what we about the Houston Rockets. But when I look at this series, I look at two specific X factors. And you touched on them a little bit, but for the Thunder, I'm looking at Steven Adams because with how small that the Rockets like to play, it'll be interesting to see how Billy Donovan uses him out there. Because is Billy Donovan gonna look to go small with somebody like, or smaller with somebody like Mike Muscala,
Right.
where Billy Donovan playing against this Rocket team could possibly get away with playing all three guards at the same time, CP, Schroeder, and Gilgeous-Alexander. And then you have Gallo at your power forward, and Mike Muscala could possibly see center minutes. Because Steven Adams, I just think a lot of times is going to find himself at the 3-point line contesting one of, their shooters, either Covington or PJ Tucker, who loves the corner three. Everybody knows it. It should be in the scouting report by now.
Right.
But and for Houston, their X factor until Westbrook gets back is the backup guards, like in returning Eric Gordon from injury and in Austin Rivers. Because like I said, you could see a scenario where you got 3-point guards for the Thunder out there who all can ball handle and make plays for themselves. So Harden's going to have one of those guys, and we know he has to play, better defense, but he's been playing, better defense. I know Harden critics are quick to point out, how he doesn't play no defense.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting to see, though, how Austin Rivers and, Eric Gordon, if they can slow down those OKC guards. Because until Westbrook comes back as a guy, that's proven for doing that could, how well those three guards play can have a huge impact on this series.
Yeah.
The only reason, though, I disagree with your 4-1 prediction a little bit is because I know how competitive Russell Westbrook is. And, leave it to him if there was no pandemic or no quarantine or anything like that. And, depending on how game one goes, like, I just know how competitive he is. And I was looking at something and it said determining when a player comes back, into the bubble or anything, once their all injuries are cleared. Because I think it's the same thing, different reason, but for Mike Conley, they said who left for the birth of his child. If he came back today, then he could probably play in game 2 or 3. Because I think it's like 4 days it's like the minimum quarantine time is 4 days.
Okay.
So that could be for Russell Westbrook as well. So, but because of that, and I know how itching he would be to play, I could see him in a situation where he misses game 1. They try to see, what Houston tries to see what they can do without him, how successful they are. And I could possibly see him being back for game 2. And that, if he's back for game 2, that changes everything about this series. So for my prediction, it's going to be, this series is going to be incredible. The more I think about it, it's going to be, absolutely amazing to watch. But I have this one going 7 as well. It's going to be a long one. I'm telling people to, strap into their seats now. But I have the Thunder winning in 7. This is tough. Because I like the Rockets, what they did putting these two guys together, but I just think that finally, in a playoff series, I think the world will see how effective Chris Paul is and how smart Chris Paul is. Because for years, people, analysts have agreed that Chris Paul is the smartest, perhaps the smartest point guard to ever play in the NBA. And I think Harden's going to get his points regardless, no matter what you do. And I think Westbrook is going to do the same. But I think that Houston as a team, because they live and die by the three so much that, when it's working, everyone in Houston is cheering and they're happy. But when they're not making them, what happens when they have a playoff game like that, when they shoot 40 to 53s a game, but they're not making them?
Yeah.
Then they're going to find themselves in trouble. And sometimes if you get in a cold spell like that, they've had trouble picking themselves out of that. And with how the Thunder play, like, because you have a leader like Chris Paul, they're so calm and they're so relaxed. And, it's weird because at times I see, Schroeder and Gilgeous-Alexander, they almost play like Chris Paul a little bit. I said something, one last thing before we go on to the last one here.
Yes, sir.
But my dad and I, we had like this little joke that we say when we talk about, Chris Paul and the Thunder this year. We like to joke and say that when you play the Thunder, it's like you're playing 5 Chris Pauls, because that's how smart he's made that team over this season. It's a true thing, though. It sounds silly, but, that's what he's done. He's came to this place, and, with no crowd, if you pay attention, he's talking the whole game. Chris Paul is doing nothing but talking to those guys the whole game. He's telling guys where they need to be. He'll pull Shai Gilgeous to the side and be like, here on this play, you come here quicker, or do this, or look for this person, or he's just leading all the time while still going and delivering. So I think if it comes down to a 7th game, I think Chris Paul smarts will be what pushes the Thunder to the next round.